Hey guys, what is up? Dark Cyclone here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing a game that I've been so excited to play for the longest time. Amazing Spider-Man 2! Just kidding. We're actually going to be playing Spider-Man on PS4, a game that I saw at E3 2016, and I have been just ready for ever since. I was counting the days. And by God, this game looks amazing, and that is one of the great pros about this game, is just how beautiful it looks, how authentic it looks. It's just so cool to just see the spider suit in action. And I know everyone's gonna ask, how is the web swinging? Because the web swinging is probably the most important thing in a Spider-Man game, and I will say this: it feels clean. Thank God Insomniac did an amazing job in making traversal in this game feel so much fun, interactive, and just so cool and unique. Now, moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about combat. Now, as you can see, I've 100%ed the game, so there aren't going to be as quite many events going on in the city. But there are still random events, so you can free roam and just do what a Spidey does. As you see, he can move through the fire escapes and just kind of stop at any time. That's another thing I really enjoy. Right now we're going to work on a kidnapping, so we have to find the victim. He's going to be usually locked away in a car. You just got to find him, get him out. After this, we get a couple enemies that show up, and we can talk a little bit about combat while we're here. Now, I will say this, combat in this game just feels so great, because you could just, with your mixture of gadgets and fighting, you can knock guys into the other guys, as you just saw there, the brute. There's different types of enemies, however, that doesn't necessarily matter quite too much until like later on in the game. But you have brutes, guys with weapons, guys with shields. That's, there's not a lot of variety, but there is enough to kind of make each combat sequence unique. And the city's alive. As you can see, I found a sign spinner, which I actually hadn't seen before recording this. I was kind of confused. I was like, wait, there's sign spinners in this game? That's awesome. And you can kind of interact with the citizens. Some of them don't enjoy you as much, but you kind of just walk around, give them finger guns, salute, etc. Spider-Man can traverse over vehicles and obstacles pretty well. He just kind of has a basic animation for running over those. But his traversal throughout New York is really cool. I accidentally knocked down a couple citizens there, my bad, guys. As you can see, he moves so fluidly, and that's the thing I really appreciate about this game. It's just how you can just traverse around the city without really being blocked too much. There is some stealth aspect to this game, and they do show you how, in some cases you do have to be stealthy to avoid, civilians getting hurt and things like that. But for the most part, the game does allow you to go loud and just have a fun brawl, with a bunch of these guys. I really like using the different gadgets in this game, like the web bomb, as you just saw. I think I'll be pulling out the trip mine, which is personally my favorite. Yep, here it comes. This is probably one of my favorite things. And the cool thing is the trip mine doesn't always affect enemies like the brute, or won't affect enemies like the brutes, because they're just too big. As you can see, they'll just kind of tug it away. But that's where you can use, things like your webbing and your environment to your advantage. As you can see, I can throw things at them, and they will cower, because they're like, oh no, he's gonna throw like a trash can at me or cinder block at me. And yeah, as you can see, and I'm trying to get the bonus objectives there on the right, because every mission that you do will have bonus objectives for you to try and complete. And it encourages you to mix up your combat style and play differently every time, and I really like that. As you can see on the top right, it said Web Blossom. There are various different suit abilities in the game, ranging from creating clones of yourself, or like holographic clones of yourself, to just webbing everyone up, to just hitting harder, basic things like that. There's one that where everyone you hit will basically get knocked down in one hit, but you can get knocked down in one hit. Let's see, we're gonna go look at other suits here. So you have the basic suit, you have your stealth suit, my personal favorite, the Scarlet Spider suit. I just love the design of the shirt. I like the hoodie for some reason. I don't know what it is. It just feels homemade. The negative suit looks beautiful. The Stark suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. Even the wrestling suit shows up here. Fear itself. Let's take another look at the Iron Spider from Avengers Infinity War. And, of course, the vintage comic book suit. This thing is really cool. And it's just so much fun. The cell shading looks really nice, and especially in this, like, realistic environment, you know? Just looks really cool. As you can see, you just go in there, you just start beating people up, man. And that's what I really like about the combat. Is it just feels so unique. Spider-Man just is whipping around, just going left and right. You can bounce off walls, literally, and just dodge, kick, and use your weapons to your advantage. Again, I tried using Trip Mine here, just figured it'd be better to go with webbing, especially against 2 brutes. And I decided, hey, you know what? Let's just get rid of the brutes first. Now this guy has a weapon. If you do try just attacking him, normally he will just smack you. So you can either get him up in the air or try webbing him up. The brutes, you're definitely just gonna want to web up. They will just kind of manhandle you if you're not careful. As you can see, just web them up, and I threw a brick at him, but then I'm like, you know, why don't we throw him around? And they do stick to whatever you throw them to, especially if they're webbed.
Fisk did keep
As you can see, we did get all the
check.
bonus objectives there, and you continue to level up after the game is over. Max level is 50, but you can continue to level up to get more health and more just attack damage. I don't know how high it goes. I don't know if there's a cap. As you can see, we are in Times Square. We're just going to be moving around now. I think I decided to head back so you guys could see. But I did take a visit to New York last year, and from what I remember of Times Square, this looks fairly accurate. All the billboards and stuff like that. But yeah, no, and another cool thing is you can get reactions from fans or haters in like the social media page. Like you can see, hey, Spider-Man stopped a car and beat up a bunch of thugs. Spider-Man fanfic. People just be really weird. This guys, people are like, oh, he stopped a mugging, stopped my cousin from being assaulted. It's just cool because it makes you feel like appreciated for some weird reason. For being able to stop crimes. As you can see, there's the nice billboards. They all feel like they're actual billboards you could see in New York, which I thought that was really amazing. You know what, let's switch over to the and the underwear suit you do get for 100%ing the game. That is a suit that you will get. I won't show all of them off as some of them are spoilery, but here we are. We have the Stark suit. There's a little test of the lighting. You can see if you're looking more at bright things, things might change. Again, the city does feel alive. There's some lady talking on her phone, guy playing guitar, just a bunch of people hanging out. So we're gonna just hang out, run around, do the Spider-Man thing for a while. I'm gonna talk about the story a little bit. The story is tons of fun. We're actually gonna change the the day-night cycle here. And the way you do this is you go to any of these like Oscorp research facilities, and you should just be able to go walk in and change the time of day. There's a little bit of a loading screen, but you do access this after you beat the game. So let's talk about the story a little bit. The story I thought was really well done. I like the take on the old villains, and one of the newer ones, Mr. Negative. I thought he looked great. I thought the effects they used for him were amazing. I did like a lot of the older villains. They felt great, and I liked the more mechanical approach they took with them for having Rhino being in this like mechanical suit, Electro having like this cool like mechanical vest on him that controls like his or helps control his electricity. There's just various really cool villains that have been with Spider-Man for a long time now. Scorpion looked really cool. I will say that they handled villains very well in this game, and hats off to Insomniac for handling so many villains so well. I will say I wish we had a bit more time with the villains running around. I felt that would have been done that could have been done a bit better. but it was handled well for the most part. Again, I just wish we had more time to interact with these villains. It felt like they were there and then they were just kind of gone, you know? That's something that I think maybe Insomniac should work on. I do know that their primary focus was Mr. Negative, which I think served the game well, but again, I just a tiny bit more time with the villains running around would have, I think, made the game better, and a little bit more time fighting the Sinister Six in this game would have been well. The main villain was done amazingly, and
Wish I'd done
I guess
that well
not
at
the main
school.
villain. The secondary villain to Mr. Negative was done very well, and with how they brought him in later on in the game, I felt just was amazing. Well done. The second half of the story does get a bit heavy, in my opinion, compared to the first half. You know, where the second half is more boss fights, and it just seems, you know, much more story-driven in comparison to the first half of the game. So there is something that for Insomniac to work on. That is kind of a con. You know, the story does feel second half heavy, but it does give you time to mess around and like discover your powers and, you know, learn how to be Spider-Man. So make it what you will. And there are random civilians you can go and high five and stuff, and they will tell you if there's some crimes going around. It's really cool. So yeah, I guess I would say the story, though, overall, I had a great time. It's just there was a few problems, and it kind of depends on the person. If you don't mind that as much and you're more here for the gameplay, that is perfectly fine. The gameplay is great. It's smooth. Occasionally, the camera does become an issue in combat. It's definitely done much better than some of the other Spider-Man games I've played. I felt, though, that combat was fun, engaging, and that the story just created such a I had a good time, and I think that's all that's really important when it comes to this game. And yeah, so I will say that again, story is really good. Camera does have its issues. There are some issues with the story that some people might have a problem with. So there are a few cons in this game. It's not a perfect game. But I never felt like it was getting bored playing as Spider-Man, and I think that that's a testament to how well Insomniac Studios just built the mechanics and built the traversal in combat. I did feel that at some points, you know, I was a little overwhelmed with enemies. I was playing on normal. I do want to do a hard mode run because I definitely feel like I can handle it. But I felt there was a good challenge, but you didn't feel overwhelmed. The different enemy types, I mean, again, there wasn't that many, and I think maybe that's something I could work on, but there's only so much you can do, you know, in a Spider-Man game. As far as the supporting cast, I felt that Miles Morales and Mary Jane were done very well, and same with Aunt May, but probably one of my more favorite characters was Miles Morales, who, if you didn't know, in the comics he does become Spider-Man later, but they do something different with him here I really enjoyed, and I'm not going to spoil it, but Miles does get a good time to shine in this game, and I felt that they did it surprisingly well. Again, I'm using, you know, surprisingly and things like that a lot, but this game was a surprise, and it did keep you guessing as to what was going to happen next. I really enjoyed that. The game just felt very innovative, smooth, as far as the superhero genre goes. But it did follow a lot of the various tropes of just, you know, beating up the bad guys, going around the city and saving people, you know. But yeah, using the gadgets and stuff in combat just made it feel great. Takedowns look pretty cool. I know some people were a little upset about the amount of variety in the takedowns. I didn't mind it because I guess I didn't use them as much. I saved my focus meter for health because that is a thing that you have to manage. Depending on how you use your focus, you can use it for finishers that will take down enemies in one hit, or you can use it, save it, to use it for health.
And no more muggers. I love a happy ending.
As you can see, there are bonus objectives to everything. There are challenges that you can do that help you really regain that sense of... you can play through a mission a couple times just to get more, the challenge tokens, things like that. There's various, equipment, gadgets as they call it in this. There's the spider drone, electric webs, webbing, web bombs, which are always fun to use. Trip mines, which are actually one of my favorite tools in the game. Those are really good for stealth. You have the concussive blast, which I did use a couple of times, and that's pretty good for if you're on roofs. It knocks people off. I haven't used the suspension matrix much, but that is another cool one to use just to get guys up in the air and so you can beat them up there. I think it also disarms them too, so it's good for if you come up against guys with shields. But yeah, traversal and everything around the city feels great. Combat feels great. Story is good. A couple issues with the story. But I will say that the game really does nail flying around the city, or swinging around the city as Spider-Man.
Attention all units. We have a possible kidnapping.
The game does get a bit boring after you 100% it, but again, it's just
earpiece
random
to focus on
crimes. I
muffled
kind of
voices.
wish there was a little bit more variety in random crimes. But overall, it wasn't terrible, and that's fine. So, moving on to the skills, they felt very basic. There's a lot of things for like, swing enemies around, stuff like that. But I felt like that should have just been part of the game already. I understand why they did it, so you have a chance to grow and kind of customize your Spider-Man as you go. And I wouldn't want to give you all the tools right away, but I definitely would go down this defender path if you're starting out your game, getting that perfect dodge and getting that dodge window to web up enemies while you're dodging. The web slinger tree probably felt the weakest to me. I feel like it's supposed to be, for the most part, traversal, but there isn't much in the way of traversal around here. So maybe if Insomniac were to work on that, I would like that a little bit more. Again, I don't know how much more they could have done with the traversal, but the skill trees did feel a little lacking, in my opinion. I do enjoy the slow-mo mode for just kind of more precision based, just moving around the city. As you can see, nighttime does look great. Photo mode, again, I'm going to talk about this a bit more. I really love it. I think it's great. Taking selfies of Spider-Man just feels awesome. There's tons of different filters as we'll go through here. You have in black and white, just the basic filters. There's different frames and stuff that you can add to it, so you can make it look like a comic book cover, something out of a comic book. You can pause at any time, and like as you're punching an enemy, you can get the nice pow look to it there with stickers, as we'll see here. You have the chibi little ones. It's just fun. You can send these to your friends and make make cool, unique screenshots. That I really like this one. On My Way just looks so fun. Yeah, and then again, just making cool, interesting screenshots. I think it's something that people are gonna try to do for a while. Just a lot of fun, good time.
10. Witness called in a narcotics sale.
Yeah, overall, I think this game does a lot of things well. Does some things could use some room for improvement. We'll see how they do it with DLC, and if the story-based stuff for DLC gets any better. I do like some of the collectibles you can find around the city, like backpacks, because Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, always has something to say about him, and they kind of offer a little bit more of an idea of his past and who he was when he played. As you can see, the negative suit looks beautiful at night. Probably one of my favorite suits to swing around at night. But the backpacks, yeah, they have various different things. Like maybe his old camera from high school. He talks about it, and so just some things that happened in high school. some of his experiences with Mary Jane, and which, by the way, their relationship is a ton of fun, and I think it helps the game out tremendously. But overall, I would say that Spider-Man for me gets a 9.5 out of 10. It does have some problems, but it's definitely a spectacular, amazing. I can't think of other adjectives to describe Spider-Man. It was an amazing experience that I think you should definitely get if you own a PS4. Alright guys, talk to you later. Dark Cyclone out.